This presentation will discuss the evolution of the mission requirements from the current space exploration paradigm to suborbital space tourism to living and working in space. So we will see that space travelers will be non-career astronauts. The damages to human health caused by long unprotected stays in space, the challenges we shall overcome to kick off civilian space development, and the expansion as a spherical progressive growing concept. So, space settlement will start when civilian and trained people will travel and stay in space for long periods of time, eventually as resident space citizens. Airline passengers are not pilots, nor hostesses, nor stewards. Space travelers will not be astronauts. Reusing the first stage of a two-stage-to-orbit vehicle currently available from SpaceX is just the first step of this process. Civilian space travel's mission requirements are different from the military astronauts' ones. Military people don't have civil rights. By definition, and their life is expendable. Civilian passengers need softer traveling conditions and protection against the austerities of living in space, such as low gravity and cosmic radiation, and they need green environments in the habitats. And there are legal warranties too, as any airline company knows well. So the recent flights by SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin brought civilian passengers to space and can be considered the first steps of space tourism. Yet, were those crews composed by regular travelers like normal air flight passengers? Not exactly. The Inspiration 4 crew members received astronaut training for many months, including lessons in orbital mechanics, operating in a microgravity, stress testing, emergency preparedness training, and mission simulation. They have studied over 90 different kinds of training guides and manuals and lessons to learn to fly Crew Dragon and what to do under emergency situations. The legal aspects are not clear, yet unless FAA quickly authorizes SpaceX and Blue Origin to deal commercial space flights, likely their first civilian passengers accepted conditions similar to the military astronauts, that is, zero rights and warrants. Of course, the main challenge to be won is a meaningful downsizing of the cost of transportation from Earth's surface to orbit. Thanks to the efforts of some pioneer companies such as SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, this challenge is finally being tackled. Not the same we can say about the other big challenge, protecting human life and health in space, or in general terms, developing the needed technologies in the frame of an exobiology expansion strategy. Such a development cannot be further delayed, considering the dramatic urgency for our 8 billion citizen civilization to start expanding into outer space. The NASA astronaut, Scott Kelly, spent 1 year on the ISS, and this experience gave evidence of the huge effects of microgravity on human physiology when lasting for a long time, including meaningful physical, cognitive, and genetic DNA changes. So this is Scott Kelly, and with his book Endurance that describes very well his 1 year experience in space. So from the book of by Scott Kelly, every part of my body hurts, all of my joints and all of my muscles are protesting the crushing pressure of gravity. I'm also nauseated, though I haven't thrown up. I strip off my clothes and get into bed, relishing the feeling of sheets, the light pressure of the blanket over me, the fluff of the pillow under my head. All of these are things I miss dearly. I can hear the happy murmur of my family behind the door, voices I haven't heard without the distortion of phones bouncing signals off satellite for a year, and so on. My pain, I am seriously nauseated now, feverish, and my pain has gotten worse. This isn't like how I felt after my last mission. This is much, much worse. A video clip shows Scott leg conditions just after his return to the bottom of the gravitational well. Scott's cognitive exams were bad too. He got slower and less accurate on virtually on all of the tests. Another very bad point of space anthropology is staying a long time in space as an astronaut has a strong demotivating effect on human psychology. If you stay in space enough time, you never want to go back there. We do not want generation of depressed space pioneers that will curse the day when they abandoned the Earth's ground. It is of great urgency to start experimenting artificial gravity. As we learned by the dramatic experience made by Scott Kelly, this is fundamental for any strategy of expansion and settlement in space. So this is the progression of the cosmic radiation we get in space respect to what we get on Earth. Earth is 2.4 millisieverts a year. On the ISS is 250. On the Moon is 500, and on Mars is 650. Short and long-term effects of central nervous system exposure to galactic cosmic radiation, significant neurological health risk to human long-term space travel. Apollo astronauts reported seeing light flashes. Likely pathways include heavy-ion interactions with retinal photoreceptors and Cherenkov radiation resulting from particle interaction with the individual's humor. Human spaceflight may harm the brains of astronauts and accelerate the onset of Alzheimer's disease, and more. Strong acceleration, too, can affect human health. In a summary of high G-force and human bodies provided by an article, in general, high velocity doesn't produce harmful injuries. But what is dangerous is the high acceleration or deceleration given at a certain time interval. Human body is composed of different organs, each organ containing its own different given density. Under high acceleration, the brain, lungs, ribs, and bones, any bones, and women's breast, tissue fat, all affect human health with risk of death. Each different body part has a higher density than another, which causes certain organs to undergo more Z-force than other organs. The accelerator training is 2 years long and allows astronauts to tolerate 4 or 5 G acceleration. Remembering the Columbia shuttle crew that perished in the terrible accident during the re-entry in the atmosphere. So these are the dangers of unsafe re-entry in the atmosphere that was well illustrated by the disaster of Shuttle Columbia, disintegrated while re-entering in the atmosphere. Astronaut Paolo Nespoli, 60 years old at the time of that mission, reported that very hard and fatiguing conditions he had to bear re-entering on a Soyuz capsule from the Vita mission on ISS in 2017. And now the problem of the green environment in the space habitats. There are huge effects of greenless space habitats. Nobody wants to live on the planet Trantor, from the Isaac Asimov Foundation trilogy, a planet that was entirely artificial without any green environment. That would be awful for human health and for psychology, of course. We need plants on board of the space habitats because they evaluate air quality, they bring nature to space, and so that means less stress and more health and well-being, possibility of vegetable production for fresh meal, and helpful to meditation. So the paradigm of expansion into space is quite different versus exploration. So summarizing, we need a substantial advance in some enabling technologies for civilian space development. So for passenger transportation systems, low cost and fully reusable, comfortable, low acceleration in both directions, safe re-entry into the atmosphere, horizontal takeoff and landing, protection from solar and cosmic radiation. And in the space habitats, protection from solar and cosmic radiation, artificial gravity, green environment on board, recycling, and sustainability. So what we need is a progressive research strategy with the growth of health requirements, progressive growth of health requirement. Developing any concept, we always should start from humans, their rights, their health, their life, and their hopes for a better future. We work to allow people's life to become better, not worse. No doubt that traveling and living in space like astronaut would be quite a poor life, and astronautical experience could be exciting, of course, for a short period. That's the point where space tourism comes in. Space tourism is an intermediate stage between astronautic space exploration and a resident space citizen. This table, you will find it in the paper, is an evaluation of the importance of the different requirements in the three main areas that are space exploration, space tourism, and space settlement. So from short missions, the moon, Mars, long missions, suborbital tourism, transport, orbital tourism, lunar tourism, working in space, living in space. So there is a progressive importance of the requirements of low cost, low acceleration, safe enter, comfortable flight, cosmic radiation protection, artificial gravity, and so on. Space exploration was made by public money so far. The costs were artificially kept high based on spendable rockets. Case composite victory of the X Prize in 2004 kicked off the reduction of access to space. The new space opened to a higher and better attention to human needs and requirements. A humanist philosophical approach to the scientific and technological development. So humanity needs to expand and settle into space as soon as possible. Humanity needs to do it in the safest and most healthy mode, avoiding as much as possible to lose lives and to ruin the health of many people. Having too many dead heroes deprives the world of potentially useful intelligences. So we have three levels of space flight: space exploration, space tourism, space settlement. In space exploration, the explorers are military trained astronauts. The mission duration so far did not exceed 1 year. The maximum distance from Earth was the moon. Space tourism, where the tourists are civilians, the duration will be shorter than exploration, typically hours in suborbital, days or weeks in the orbit on the moon. The maximum distance will be the moon. Space settlement, where the space citizen will be civilians, the staying duration will be accountable in months, years, or permanent. The maximum distance from Earth will extend to Mars and beyond. So we are talking about a needed evolution of mission requirements. So following the more and more serious conditions of space, starting from Earth orbit to the moon and beyond. This is a model of anthroposphere expansion from Earth orbit to the moon and cislunar space, conceiving expansion as a spherical progression growing concept, where each level of expansion consolidates the built infrastructure. Last, explorers should be the best friends of settlers. Exploration will always be necessary. Expansion will never extinct exploration. Opposite, expansion will require more advanced exploration. Unfortunately, exploration existed for a long time without expansion. Yet, should the civilian space development not kick off before 2030, the global economy will fall in an endemic crisis, and likely political leaders will not find enough money to continue space exploration. Therefore, space settlement is in the interest of space exploration too, since only in a realm of big economic growth, space exploration and the entire industrial society will be sustainable. Thanks for your attention. Ad Astra.